Hi, you can use Collabor8online to distribute tender packs of information and to invite contractors to tender for various pieces of work or work packages. One of the principles that people like to see in this sort of feature is that when you invite, say, 10 contractors to view a tender pack, that each of them cannot see any of the others, so they're completely unaware who else is tendering for that work, understandably. So Collabor8 lets you do that as long as you follow these simple features. I'm going to click on one of my folders here. I've got a folder called Tender Pack 2, and when I created this folder, I'm just going to go to the editor here to see how I've created the folder. I've given it a name, but most importantly I've checked on the box private. So just create a folder in the normal way and check the box private. Now what you might also want to do in here in the description is you can include any notes that you want the viewer to see about your tender, any particular pieces of information. So that's the first step. Go to, when you create a folder, simply check the box private. The other thing that you have to do, though I'm logged in here as a system administrator, is that you need to check that a couple of features are switched off for that folder, and that's in the Features tab right at the top that system administrators will be familiar with. Clicking on the Features tab here, and I can actually search for my folder, just I've got a busy system here, and you just want to check that your RFIs feature is switched off, that box is unchecked, and the issue sheets feature is switched off. That means that any of the users of those folders won't inadvertently see any other users by virtue of the fact that they can download the issue sheet or maybe look at any RFIs that have been created. So once you've done that in terms of creating and setting up your folders, you're completely free to upload your individual drawings or documentation for your users to log in and download, or you might find it convenient, or they might find it more convenient if you zip those files up. So I've uploaded just a tender pack zip file here. It's nice and easy for a subcontractor to log in, just download that one file and he's got all the information he needs. And if you remember, you can use the actions drop down in Collabor8 to create and download a zip. So if you upload them as original files, Collabor8 will help you create that zip file if you don't have the ability to do that on your local desktop. Now the final thing, of course, you must do is you would then invite the users to your system using the add user function, and then also you would add them to the contract right at the top here, add them to the project in the users section, members section of your project. But once you've done that, the last piece of the puzzle, if you will, is that you check that the permissions, you only give the user permission here, and I've got a range of guys I just happen to have called Joe here, so I've got my Joe contractor, Joe subcontractor. I'm just going to make sure that they have view only permission in the folder, and anyone with view only permission on a private folder will not be able to see any evidence of any other users in that folder at all. Just to see how that looks from the subcontractor or user's point of view, I've logged out and I'm going to log back in with the subcontractor's email address and password. And what you will see is when we log in here, our subcontractor only has permission to view just one project that we have, and when he clicks into that project he can't see any other folders, he can just see the Tender Pack 2 folder that we created a short time ago. And much of the functionality here has been removed. So for example, if he clicks on the comments feature, he doesn't see any comments in there, although he sees the bubble. He's got the download icon, the watch icon. The cog icon won't give him anything because he's only got view only permissions. So there's no way he can become aware of anyone else who's viewing this folder. So there you have a brief overview of how you can use Collabor8online to create and distribute tender packs. There is an alternative method of distributing tender packs or sharing information in a confidential way, and that's simply to use what we call the share file function. So you can share individual files within Collabor8online by simply checking this option here from the actions drop down menu, but of course you could also share many files if you wish. I'm going to say I'm going to share all of these files, and at this point I can start to decide who I'm going to share them with. Now I can send that email to any number of people that I wish simply by separating with a comma But specifically for tenders, the BCC, that's the blind carbon copy feature, may be the best one to use. So here I can send it to many different subcontractors. Once you've completed your list of email addresses, you can then decide how long you want the link to be valid for. You can see the range is anything from 15 minutes to 28 days. You may decide to give your companies 7 days to respond. When you click on the link to share the files, the contacts that you've included as emails in there will be sent a link to download the files contained, the files that you've agreed to share. Now, it has been pointed out that when you share files in this way, the user would have to click 3 times to, for example, download those 3 files. But that's another example of the use of the zip option, in that if we just chose to share the zip file here, the recipients or the people you're inviting to tender would just have to download 1 zip file to have the entire tender information. So there you have a further look at an alternative method of sharing tender pack type information with contacts and suppliers in a confidential way.